Hello, this is Walter Smith on BlueMoonRisingTV, back for another week of Walter's Glass Half Full. Hey, without further ado, let's have a look at some of those comments. Hayden Cooper. Ha ha ha! Pep on a Thursday night. I can't wait. GGMU. GGMU, mate. That sounds like one of those places where you'd actually go to get rid of a nasty disease. Hayden's comment actually got me thinking about many of our rivals and would I actually swap City's campaign for any others? Fair play to Leicester City. In a topsy-turvy season, 5,000 to 1, they actually walked away with the league, and I don't think Manchester City can compete with that. They did all right, didn't they? Well, Arsenal, they actually won sweet FA and just managed to scrape through the Champions League group and get spanked by Barcelona. Would I swap that for Manchester City's? Not a chance. Spurs, they actually managed to finish third. And they ended the season almost like a town drunk, stumbling up his own path, dropping his keys down a grid. Fair play to Tottenham. They'll be playing the Champions League music at White Hart Lane next year, but ultimately, did they win anything? No. Manchester United, well, they played football that was about as exciting as, well, one of Manuel Pellegrini's press conferences, but they did actually win some silverware, the FA Cup. Manchester United actually got embarrassed twice in Europe this year. Look at them Champions League qualification groups, and then on top of that, Liverpool dumped them out of the Europa League, and Man United fans are so fond of telling us how Liverpool are their biggest rivals. That's gotta hurt. Let's not forget, Manchester United actually didn't qualify for next year's Champions League, having their noisy neighbours Manchester City finish above them. That's gotta hurt. Would I swap that? No. Liverpool, well, they managed to actually finish 8th, and what did they win? Nout. Klopp doesn't half love getting to a final, rolling over and having his belly tickled. So how does this all actually compare to Manchester City? Well, we turned up at a final, had a great day out and managed to put some silverware on the shelf. And before you say it, don't tell me the League Cup doesn't matter. They had a banner at Old Trafford celebrating our win in 1976 for 35 years. Manchester City actually managed to get to the semi-final of the most prestigious football tournament in the world and were knocked out by a singular own goal. They managed to actually top the Champions League group, which include those deadly assassins Seville and Juve, who'd finished in the final the season before. Manchester City actually managed to qualify for Champions League next year, and we've got Pep managing the good ship City for the whole of the rest of the next season. Manchester City actually managed to secure Champions League football, and we've got Pep steering the good ship Man City for the next 3 years. So to top it all off, would a swap? Well, maybe with Leicester, but our traditional rivals? No way, Jose. Oakley, MUFC, I have to say this in my film voice. Pep's a fraud, and he will be exposed by Mourinho. I actually saw the arrival of Jose Mourinho at Manchester United and laughed my head off, to be honest. Jose's arrival at Manchester United will actually have more fireworks than Mario Balotelli's bathroom just before the derby. The papers, magazines, Twitter, whatever form of media you consume, seem to be telling us about this magical Manchester United way, and I wondered how would actually Jose fit into this. Bobby Charlton actually said Mourinho's antics actually didn't make him fit to be a manager at Manchester United after the eye-gouging episode in Spain. Charlton went on to add, Ferguson doesn't really like him either. Eric Cantona, often seen as the most Manchester United player ever, he said he'd prefer, you guessed it, Pep. Manchester United actually have a reputation in the media of actually bringing young players through. Who's the jewel in the crown at the moment? Marcus Rashford. Who's the first player linked? You guessed it, Ibrahimovic. Now, Zlatan doesn't actually strike me as a kind of sit on the bench kind of guy. Take a moment for it to actually sink in. Mourinho let Lukaku go, and on top of that, our beautiful own Ginger Prince, Kevin De Bruyne. Chelsea's youth system, I'll tell you now, is incredible. Now, most of their players were actually farmed out all over the Western world. So you've got to ask yourself, does that actually fit in with Manchester United's philosophy? The Manchester United squad seemed deeply unhappy with Louis van Gaal and his over-preparation for games. Jose, does he underprepare? I don't think so. A lot of Manchester United fans weren't overly happy with the style of football that Louis van Gaal brought to Manchester United. Shouts of boring, dull, negative, dour rained down from the Stretford end. If you were a fan of Louis van Gaal's approach to the game, you're probably best off avoiding social media and all those phone-ins. They were full of Manchester United fans moaning about the style of play. Will Jose Mourinho actually have much different? Well, he's the master of grinding out results, going for that 1-0 win. Jose's teams are renowned for being practical and hard-working, but do lack the imagination and flares often associated with Manchester United. There's quite a few Manchester United fans that actually see this as a celebrity appointment, a reaction almost to Manchester City appointing Pep. I see Jose almost like a plastic surgeon. He's always going to give you a nip and a tuck, bit of lipo, but it ultimately is not going to make you any more healthy. Whereas Pep is like a lifestyle guru. He's going to leave your club in much better health than when he arrived. Anthony Martial, I don't think it's the real one. Why would your joke of a club announce Pep whilst Pellegrini is in charge? Mate, Pellegrini announced it, not the club. Just like Frank Sinatra. He did it his way. Pep Guardiola was actually linked with the Manchester United job just days before Pellegrini made his announcement, so to claim there was a leak from City, foolish talk. Van Gaal found out he was actually getting the push minutes after winning the FA Cup from a text, from his wife. He then had to go and face the wolf pack of press just minutes after receiving the text. Talk about literally being thrown to the wolves. Not classy. Some may argue that he had to go, and that's fair enough, but sack him like that was savage. Then there was that press leak about Van Gaal's tactics and style of management, and strangely enough, Darmian, he couldn't boil an egg. At that point, the knives were out and ultimately plunging into LVG's back. And you call Manchester City classless? I suppose, Anthony, that it was better than David Moyes, who actually found out when a journalist, told him. Our owners bought Pellegrini an original Lowry as a thank you gift. Your owners leaked reports to the press slating Van Gaal within hours. I remember when Mark Hughes' days were numbered as a City manager, and the press actually made up lies saying that Mancini was sat in the crowd. And then because of these lies, Manchester City would come morally bankrupt as a club. If you don't believe me, type in hate fuel envy in a search bar above. Not nice viewing. I'd love to know if Jose was actually at Wembley on Cup final day. Why? Because I've not heard a peep from the press. The way the media actually behaves and treats our two clubs differently, that's far more disrespectful than anything Manchester City have done of late. Well, that about sums up another week of Walter's Glass Half Full. So if you've got any negative comments to leave, well, what are you waiting for? Oh, time for another.